Hello, everybody. So good to see you. Barbara Smith is in the house. How wonderful. And I just happened to catch a little glimpse of your birthday presents. That is pretty nice. That is wonderful. Well, I assume they're birthday presents, but how nice. 2 Berninas. How wonderful. Marcia was the first person here. Oh, you are so sweet, Marcia. She saw that Charlie, my granddaughter, it's her birthday today, and it's a very special one. So happy birthday, our Charlie. And we're so tickled for you. And she's in school in cosmetology school, and she's loving it and doing great. So I even heard her teacher might have said she's a natural. So all those years of, oh gosh, what was it called? Now I have forgotten. Cosplay. All that came in very handy. But you know what's nice is when you find something that you love doing. It is so important to find something that you believe in and love doing. And she will be helping people find the style that best brings out their true inner voice. And I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Every time I get on here, all of a sudden I realize my hands are dry. And I'm not much of a lotion wearer, so it's like I've got to really notice it. And my burn is doing, a wee bit better. It's going to leave a little scar, but what can you do? It shows you've lived. So anyway, I am so glad to see you today. So it was Marcia and Barbara. Laura's here. And let's see. Oh, Laura. Yep, Laura R. In fact, that's what it said the first time. Oh, well, Cheryl Hogan. Sometimes I'm a little, well, I've got to be honest. Do any of you have sleeping issues? I'm so frustrated. Last night, I was so tired. Yesterday, my grandson, he's a senior this year, so I'm going to try to go to all the band competitions. There are only a couple more left. But I went to the band competition, and it was so hot out there. And but he was wonderful. It was great to see. But I walked a lot, and it was just good. It was a good day, but I was tired. So last night, I'm in bed. I've got the covers pulled up. I fell asleep pretty darn quick. And then woke up at 3 and couldn't get back to sleep until after 6. It's like, come on. You know, I think back to the early days, a long time ago, in a land far away, when I had my babies, and I would have done anything to have a full night's sleep. And now that I can sleep when I want, can I? No. Lisa is here. Hello, darling. And Debbie's here. I got your pictures. And, Patty Kuchera's here. Hi. We haven't seen you in a while. It's so good to see you. Bonnie's here. Yay, Bonnie. So, it has been an interesting week. Oh, do you remember the splash quilt we did? I named it Splash. But it was the reverse applique that we did. And my throat's sore. But it was the reverse applique quilt that we did. And I finished quilting it, and I quilted it with ombre multicolor thread, and I kept looking at it and I thought, I bet you Charlie would love that quilt. So look at what border, because all of the splashes were rainbow colors. I found this. It was the perfect binding for that quilt. So here's what I put on her quilt. and gave it to her. Took it yesterday when I saw her mom at the band competition. I gave it to her and she loves it. So I'm so tickled because I'm really, this year has been my big push to whatever I make, get it done. And I want to find a home for it. I want to find someone to love it. I don't want them just to stack up everywhere. So that's part of what I am doing. Winter's coming. Oh, that's great. So you are an outdoor type person, I bet. My daughter sent me the cutest picture. She tried growing Indian corn. And she takes after me in that she loves growing unusual different things. And in fact, I owe Monkey Mary, hi Hopi. I need to send her, I want to send her some of the Job's tears. What did I do with those? Remember I showed you the other week. Let me bring my close-up camera in. Whoops, be careful, be gentle, Deb, with the close-up camera. But when I talked about the Job's tears, which are grass-type plant, and I worked at a museum in Maryland, and so it was about the birthplace of Maryland. And so I brought these up. I found these when I was cleaning some things up. And these grow on the little stems of the grass-type plant. And so when you pull them off, they automatically have holes in them. So the early settlers would grow these because at the time, in the 1600s, being a Catholic in England was illegal. So they would grow these plants and then make their own rosaries. So I need to send some of these seeds to Miss Mary. And you know me, guys, if I don't write it down, I will forget. So let me see. Mary and Job's tears. They're called Job's tears. Okay, so anyway, with that, there we go with that. All right, now, so let me bring you back here to the main camera, and yay. All right, so, I might wait for a minute to do some of this, because I know Mary mentioned my paper mache pumpkins. And, all right, well, let's see. What should I talk about first? I did some steam cleaning of rugs in the house, and then we took off the back door because it was sticking. Every time it rained, I, with my arthritis, couldn't handle opening and closing the back door. So we took it off. I said, let's take it off and put it out on sawhorses. I sanded both sides of it. Luckily, it's a French door. So sanding was just the wood around the outside on the front and the back. And we found when we took that door off that the top and bottom had never been finished. So, no staining, no polyurethane. What happens then? The door swells up and sticks. So, hello, but in fact, I can show you this really quickly. This is a picture I took of the door outside, and between steam cleaning 3 rooms of scatter rugs, big nice rugs, I also worked on this door, and I sanded the whole thing, then stained it, and then put a finish on it, and talked to such a good friend while I was waiting for the finish to dry. But we soon learned we put a tarp over the door because the finishes don't like direct sunlight when they're curing and all of that. So I'm very thankful Mark set up the tarp to give it shade the very next day, and he put 2 coats of spar urethane on the outside of the door. So it's hanging back up in the house now, and then I'm going to put 3 coats of a water-based polyurethane on the inside. But the ends, both ends, have been stained and had 2 coats of the spar urethane. Is for outside, heavy duty, prevents against UV damage and moisture penetration. So, doing good. I was happy about that. So, anyway, in fact, I told you about going to my grandson's band competition. And here is the competition. And there is my grandson, and this is his girlfriend. And I'm just so tickled. She's sweet as can be. And here's my grandson. I can't believe this is his last year. But a college that he wants to attend has an unbelievable band. And it is an A&T, and it is wonderful. So here is his band out on the field, and the program was Back to the Future. So that was so cute to see. So we had a good time, but it was so sunny and it was so bright that my daughter said, "Hey, let's go to my car. It's right outside the gate, and let's turn on the air conditioning and we can just sit and chat, instead of sitting out in this sun," because it was miserable. Oh my gosh. I said I felt like the sun was just burning a hole through me. And to watch my grandson perform, I'm like this, So I said, yes, let's go to your car. And it was so nice to catch up because it's hard, everybody's busy and it's tricky. But anyway, so I told you what I did this week. And that band competition was an hour away. And I've got to tell you, I'm not used to driving anymore. And oh my goodness gracious, that was an hour drive and an hour drive back home. I got home, I was like, okay, I'm tired. But Mark stayed here and he got so much done. So he loved having that quiet time. All right, this week in polymer clay. I didn't make anything from polymer clay this week, but I did do something else. And so in just a moment, I'll be showing you something right back there that I did work on. But firstly, I'm going to talk to you, just give you a quick little reminder about how I made these paper mache pumpkins. They're now 3 years old. Let me get my close-up camera so we can look at them good. Okay, I am really cheap. No surprise there. So, I look at pumpkins, and the price of live pumpkins is so high. And then I looked at fake pumpkins, and they were expensive. And I love these new blue ghost pumpkins or whatever they're called. So I said, how can I make a pumpkin? And these have held up the test of time. So what I did, oh yeah, oh Miss Mary, there you are, sweetie. Great. Okay. Now, so what I did is I took a plastic grocery bag, and I stuffed it with a combination of scrap paper, scrap newspaper, anything like that, and then scraps of batting, whatever, and just filled that bag up and then tied it, and tied the handles so that they would make the stem. Okay, and this one the same thing. You know, there's a bag. There's all kinds of trash inside these. Now, don't do trash that's going to smell funny because you don't want anything. These have been in the attic and you don't want... Hi, Malcolm! You don't want anything getting into these. But I filled the bags full, and like this one, I wanted it to have a little shape, so I just indented the bag. Then I took strips of paper towels or recycled printer paper, or you can use newsprint, whatever you want. And I dipped it into a mixture of water, glue, and flour. Not too much water, but water, glue, and flour. And then would rub the excess off the strip and then lay it on and just paper mache. And in fact, on this one, you can see the texture from the paper towel that I used to have enough paper. And see, there's a texture of a paper towel. But then I just covered it, and you have to cover it enough so that when it dries, that it's firm and very lightweight. And they do tend to make a funny shape, but you know what? That just makes them look more realistic. So after all of those layers, and then I took and wrapped paper toweling around the handle to make that stem. And then when they were totally dry and they had enough layers, you got to keep layering, you know, or else see how firm these are? I used lots of layers of old scrap paper. Look around for people who get newsprint. I read mine online now, so I don't get newspapers. Can't make pumpkin pie out of these. But then after they were totally dry, I put a coat of paint as a sealer, and then just took my acrylic paints, painted them, and, you know, did some light marking. And on this, I put a darker color first, and then kind of did a foam brush rub over with a lighter color to give it that depth. Painted the stem. And then I took an acrylic sealer and I sealed these. So I made 3 of them. They're all still in great shape. I put them in a plastic grocery bag, put them up in the attic at the end of Thanksgiving. And here they are. So I just wanted to tell you how you can do it. Yes, I made these in 2022. I figured they were 3 years old. So, but they're just a lot of fun and I love them. They're my absolute favorites now. This one I need to touch up a little paint. Something must have stuck to it. But otherwise, they have done really, really well. And hopefully, they'll pass down in the family as one of Nana's folk arts. So, okay. I thought I would show you any of you who want to order from Temu, you can still order things. I did a test order because I thought, oh my gosh, I know time flies, and Bonnie, doesn't it fly faster and faster every year? I put in a test order from Temu to see, because I was worried. I had heard that you would have to pay like an $80 fee, that it wasn't going to come under the small purchase thing anymore. And so I was worried, but I put in an order. They never mentioned it, and it came in pretty darn fast, and they still never mentioned it. So what they have, it seems, is they have a clearinghouse that actually ships for them. I don't know. There's some way they found to do it. But look at this wonderful texture. You can always tell what hobby I'm interested in at the very moment, because my orders tend to center around that. But isn't this great? And it's nice and firm, which is important. Remember, I love the handle built in, but nice and firm. Now, just to tell you, Temu prices are a little higher than they were before, but you know, there are tariffs on this stuff. So I'm going to have to be very careful. In fact, I need to talk to my daughter. I'm thinking of telling everyone, let's really don't do a lot of presents this year. But, and this is the very same stuff you can get from Amazon, but since you're not going through a middleman, you don't have to double the price. So here are some wonderful shapes for jewelry, because I realized I didn't have good shapes for like earring shapes or narrower pendants. So I got this set of cutters. Then I got a cute little leaf, and what I love that it's hard plastic, remember that. And then recessed in here are the veins, so when you stamp out a leaf, it'll put the veins in for you. So I got that. Then these sweet little shapes, and I have learned now through polymer clay, I'm learning so much from Samantha at Jessima tutorials, and I've learned that these cutters make a lot of difference. It's the difference of having them look more professional. So I ordered these, and these are so cute. These are 3D printed. So for people out there who have 3D printers, they've got a new little business, going. So these are sweet. And then this, I saw it very inexpensive because someone just 3D printed it. And the nice thing is when you cut this out, it gives a hole for you to string up the necklace, and then this can become a bead type right above this pendant, or you can use it for an earring. So I got these, and I'm really tickled with them, trying to put them all in one container. So, aha, I did it. Then I looked up for some tools to do. Hi, Linda Williams. So good to see you, sweetheart. And I forgot to say that we're thinking of Ukraine. We love Ukraine and we stand with Ukraine. I also wanted to say, can we start adding Gaza in that? Because it's really horrible to know that we've witnessed a genocide in our very lifespan. So we want to let them know that they deserve their country land back, and they deserve to live in peace. So let's just hope that everyone can, be humane from now on. Because this is going to be a very ugly part of history. So I have bought these tools, and when you're doing polymer clay, and I also do air dry clay, I do a lot of my Christmas ornaments, and these were like $2 for all these tools, $2 or $3, and they can make all different kinds of impression in the clay, and so that is going to be really cool. And now, since I'm not buying fabric, then I wanted some things that I could make impressions with, because I love silk screens and stuff, but they're expensive, so I've got to be careful. But these were very inexpensive, and they're just little silicone stamps. See the little, and you can take them off. What I'm going to do is go in and grab one of Mark's scrap pieces of wood, something that, since they're sticky on the back, you can take them, stick them on a form, then put them back on this. So it's nice to have them on something firm, like a little block of wood that you can then impress into the clay. But look at some of these. They'll be lovely in some of the clay pieces I make. So this was a very good buy. Then I made a couple buys that weren't as good, and I'll tell you why. Luckily, nothing's more than, they're all under $3. I saw this and I said, oh, look at those beautiful ferns. And these are roses, and Then I wanted to get something for my air dry clay for Christmas decorations. So these are holly leaves and berries. And then just a smattering of leaf things. Well, the problem is polymer clay is got a lot of body to it. And how are you supposed to push polymer clay? I mean, look how soft this is. This is made more for melted chocolate to make candy things for cake, or this is made, you could actually melt sugar syrup and put colors in it and pour it in, or resin. But how do you push the polymer clay in without losing all of the detail? So these were not my best buy. Like these roses, I thought, oh, to make earrings and have beautiful little roses to then put on the earring. Well, how in the world do you get polymer clay in there? I don't think you can. I'm so sad. So somewhere I have some 2-part resin, and I don't know, maybe, I'll get into that, or maybe I'll make a Christmas cake and take and melt some chocolate and pour in these once I've washed them. And but I am going to try my air dry clay and the holly leaves and see how that works. Now this I do think I can use with polymer clay, because see, there aren't any high sides. It's not that hard to push the clay onto the leaves. So, but anyway, but I just thought I would show you because I love showing you. And this was $20-some, pretty inexpensive. And I told Mark, I said, now that I know I don't have to pay a penalty from ordering from them, I need to order more. And he's like, oh, brother. But we'll see. I'm not in the mood this year. Just not feeling it. Remember how in the past years I've made hundreds of ornaments? I'm not feeling it this year. And so I'm probably going to say, yeah, I think, I'll just do what I feel. But I'm thinking I'm going to try to, I don't know, make something. Maybe, do you remember the pillow quilts that were a thing 20 years ago? It might be time to make some new pillow quilts. You know what I mean? So, and I've got probably enough in my stash for those. But here, just wanted to let you know that if you've been worrying about ordering from Temu, unless they tell you, and I thought, okay, well, what if, let me get off this camera a moment. I thought, what if I order it and I'm not seeing any kind of extra fee? I'm not seeing any kind of extra fee, and then all of a sudden, before they deliver it, or after I've made my purchase, and I would just cancel. So I think, you're pretty safe. So anyway, all right. And I've still got, in fact, I probably should take this upstairs, but I've still got my lime green minky. And I'm going to make everyone, that's right, I forgot I had this. I'm going to make everyone a Grinch pillow. Which means I better start right away. It is October, isn't it? I am not waiting till November, let me tell you. But, so I'll take that up with me. All right, so the next thing to talk about is what I did instead of doing polymer clay. You can use the molds with liquid. Cheryl, you are brilliant. That's wonderful. I didn't think about, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And I can probably mix in a color. My daughter is coming in a couple weeks. She's going to bring me some alcohol inks that she had bought for her daughter who never got around to using them. And I said, I can use them. So maybe we'll mix the alcohol inks in with polymer, liquid polymer, which I do have some. Oh, thank you, Cheryl, for telling me that. Make the Grinch pillow and make sure to play How the Grinch Stole Christmas when they get it. Oh, that's true. I love that, Bonnie. Wait till you see the pictures that Bonnie sent me. Bonnie, I haven't told you this because I wanted to tell you live. The picture of you with the Viking hood is beautiful. That is the prettiest picture I've ever seen taken of you. So hold on to that one. That's a good one. All right, now I'm going to show you what I worked on this week. Actually, Mark and I did this because I bought this for him a couple months ago, and we love our YouTube channels. Love our YouTube channels. And around that time, we had discovered Japanese Yatai. And oh, you took a class this year and she didn't. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. So she made a face with liquid. Oh, so she used a silicone form of a face, huh? Oh, that's brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so now let me come in and get my close-up camera. So we had been watching Yatais, and they're a Japanese hand-pulled cart that sets up within certain hours. Usually they're able to run from like 7 to midnight or 1 a.m. and they serve food. And it's a way for people who would love to be a restaurateur, but can't afford the exorbitant land prices to be a chef and feed people. And they have gotten very popular. It used to be something, it started in the 1600s and went up through the war. But after the war, people thought, oh, we have to get modern and we have to be more sophisticated. And so they kind of started, most cities outlawed them. But there are a few that still do, and they're growing. And what their cities are doing now for them is making designated areas, and they have electric and water. It's wonderful. So it's really, really neat. So we got watching this one, Abe-san. And Abe-san was a temple builder. He was a carpenter. And he built his yatai like a temple. It's beautiful. And so we really enjoyed watching him. And my goodness, he is such a good cook. And Mark and I say, it's nervous thinking of going and sitting on a street corner and eating food that they haul down there and make. And you're wondering, I hope they kept it right, whatever. But it's really, really big. So, no place. Oh, lace. I'm sorry. That's what happens. Bonnie will tell you I need to wear my glasses because I saw something ACE and thought face. Lace. If you have any pictures of that, Cheryl, I would love if you'd send them to me. All right, so here we go. So I bought this kit for Mark. And I kept saying, I wonder when he's going to make it. I wonder when he's going to build it. Because I love building these miniatures. These miniature kits are amazing. And in fact, our Joso's tried one. And she really enjoyed it too. So I said, okay. Finally, I said to him, would you maybe mind if I kind of started putting your yatai together? And he said, I'd love it if you did. I just can't quite bring myself to do it, so yay! Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. So now I'm bringing light over here, and let me get my close-up camera and show you what I made. Now, when these miniature kits come in, they have all these wooden pieces are in flat pieces. They come off a little paper-sized sheet of plywood. And I ordered them these from Temu. They're just so cute, but they end up coming in a little too big. I don't think that would work. But they're just so cute. I love miniature stuff. Can you tell? I mean, I love it. All right. So it comes on a flat sheet, and what has made this hobby possible is they use laser to cut. They use a fine, like a balsa wood plywood, very fine, thin, and then the lasers come and cut all the patterns out. So there was this piece that had a little notch that went in there, and then this piece goes across to kind of hold it firmly. And so it came at these pieces, and let me turn it around to the back. And then all of these, and one thing I love as much as anything is you get to pop these pieces out from the sheet of little thin plywood they came on. And I love popping stuff out like that. It's like, oh yeah, that's part of the fun. And so, and you have to figure out what part is what and what goes where. And here is the little electric light that has batteries. And if you look inside here, I had to take a little piece of metal rod that went through in here, and then you force the tires onto it. I made these cute little things, but we decided, he said, how about if we glue those on so we don't lose them? Because this is very, very accurate to the feeling of a yatai. And they all have these little things that go under that keep it steady once it's not being pulled. So it had little panels here. We had to build the roof, little panels. And then this is a paper corrugated roof. And yes, all kind. Oh, there's Joso. Yep, and also Temu has them too, and they tend to be a little bit cheaper. Not as cheap as they were before tariffs, but I wanted to show you. It's got this firebox in it, and in reality, it is fed by a little LED light, and then there's another LED light in this thing, and then there's another LED light under here. And the last LED light is under here. But you take the little pieces of wood and you cut out the paper and glue them on, and then glue them into place. And same thing for in here. This, I cut out the little labels. The inside white is just an off-white piece of paper you curl into a tube and stick in there. These little cups come pre-made. Good luck, just because of the resin. I bought him some little, I saw these, and I saw there was a soy sauce and then a hot mustard, so I bought him these little things. But you take a piece of wood and you glue that. The food parts you have to make, okay? So let me see, yeah. And what I did, I decided he needed some, pardon me again. I decided he needed salmon sushi. So that's what that is. And I made it out of my polymer clay. And these are salmon. Then I made him some little chopsticks out of toothpicks. And then you made the little thing that holds this wine glass So you just folded paper and a little piece of wood. But these I made out of polymer clay, baked them, and then put a finish on them. And this is a good luck cat that most Yatais have somewhere on their stand, even though it's a wee bit big. More food that I made here. This bowl came with the other two, so I acted like it was the big soup bowl sitting on the heat, staying warm. And here's another little soy sauce, and then there's these little rolled paper with the metallic look on them that are, and then you take and just dot them with a toothpick to make it look like little shakers for seasoning. Here's supposed to be some cooked chicken and sushi, and this is supposed to be, I added this myself, this is supposed to be a thing of rice. But here is some raw chicken I made by the directions, and then some cooked chicken and these kebabs of different things. Then you take the paper and little scraps of wood and you make the knives, and here's the raw chicken waiting. And the little bottles, because the Yatais do like to sell wine and beer and sake and stuff. So here are the bottles that come with the kit. And then it had the silver sticky paper that would go on this little shelf. And here, these are supposed to look like soapstone plates. And so here's this one with, and a whole plate of sushi there. So I had the best time. And put the stickers on. And then Mark built the frame for the roof for me. And he did the electric for me. So I think this is cute as can be. I love this. So if you want something new and fun to watch on YouTube, look for Japanese street food vendors, or Yatai, Yatai. And so that, isn't it fun what we can see, what we can learn about different countries and different customs? So now it came with this really nice piece of MDF. What I'm going to do to this, since these are street vendors, they're usually on a wide section of sidewalk right by the street. So what I'm going to do to this is I'm going to use, in fact, let me get it out while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to use some of my 1/4-inch tape, and I'm going to tape some sidewalk seams, and possibly even little stones or cobbles. But I'm going to take and make a good gray, like a concrete gray, and mix it with baking soda to give it some thickness and roughness. And I'm going to make this a big sidewalk. And then once I get that on and dried, then this will be glued down. And then I'm probably just going to sit these out here because they're just too cute. I don't want to waste them. And this is the ramen that they love. And then I'm going to glue these benches in place, although Abisan has green vinyl on his benches, so I'm going to try to find some green fabric to put on the benches for him. But I'm going to mount it permanently so that we have this one now. And you know, it's funny, we're going to downsize in a couple years, but I'm not getting rid of my miniatures, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. You know, I think it was Cheryl, was it Cheryl Lawton? Our Cheryl from Florida had a very high shelf on her wall, and I thought, oh, that'll do it. I'll put a high shelf up around the top of the wall and put all the miniatures on it. But isn't that just too cute? I just love it. So anytime, if you're feeling a little down or a little at loose ends, consider doing a miniature. Those miniatures are fun. There's so much in them to do, and run with it like I did. I mean, they didn't call for sushi. And it was fun, you know, to make the seaweed casing. I mixed dark green and black and rolled, you know, did a little strip of salmon and a little strip of rice and then rolled it in the supposed seaweed wrapper. And so it's fun. It's fun. And I do like nurturing my inner child, because my inner child lately gets really beaten up and there's so much to worry about and all of that. And you know what? I only have so many years left, and do I really want to waste it just sitting in a corner mumbling to myself? Or do I want to make incredible things, fun, have fun every day? My hard work is over. I raised 3 kids. They're all doing great. I love them to bits. And now it's my time to play. I don't have to earn a living as such. I just have to manage it and not spend too much on crafts and fabrics and all of that. But I'm wearing my paper bead gingham necklace with this top, so it's fun. But, oh, now, you know, I like that too, so that you give them a little dust protection. And, yeah, that is a great idea. And I know at Temu they have acrylic sheets you can buy, so, but I don't know how to cut acrylic out. I have a feeling it's tricky. All right, so that's what I made, and Mark is so tickled with it. And so that's been a lot of fun. I finally decided on my binding for our July class. Let me get this. I finally decided and cut it out, the binding for my Snail's Trail alfresco quilt that we made. And I have decided to go with the light blue that I used for all the square sashing blocks. And remember, I made all my square sashing blocks identical, and the center was that light blue. So I had just enough of that fabric to do my binding. So I've got it cut out. I just have to put it on. Alberta's here. Alberta sent some new pictures too. So I'm very excited. So, but thank you I love how y'all give me so many good suggestions. And, y'all are just the best. I was talking to Mark and I said, you know, I don't have that many views on this thing called YouTube. There are so many channels that are so popular. But I said, you know what? I'm just happy to spend this time with y'all and to share what little knowledge I picked up during this thing called life and learn from y'all. So Mark was saying, yeah, he said, your channel gives you deadlines. And I said, yes. Being scatterbrained, being attention deficit means I can easily go squirrel and I'm off in all different directions. And that is going to bring me up to something else that I want to talk about in a couple minutes. Oh, I forgot to show you these. We had to put in, we're doing almost all of our orders delivery, mail-in. We have no desire to go shopping anymore. Last time I went in at Walmart, oh gosh, it looked so different and it's so intimidating. And I thought, no, I tell you, I learned during the pandemic to enjoy not having to go in and shop in person. So we put in an order from Walmart, and things like mouthwash, toothpaste, you know, paper towels, all that kind of the stuff that we like to get from a less expensive store. And because prices are outrageous, let's be honest, you know, nothing's gone down, it's all gone up. Every time I make the weekly grocery list, it's like, oh my gosh. So, I don't know how young people do it. I don't know how anyone does it on a fixed income or when you know, it's just so tough. And I remember back in, during poor Jimmy Carter's presidency, when interest rates were 14% for a mortgage and prices went up so high, people were like, buy it now, it'll only be more expensive later. It's like, oh no. But it's tough. It's really, really hard because of the imbalance in our country of the haves and have-nots. There's no more margin of error. So both parents are working. What do you do then? So I do want to show you, but I'm sorry I got into all that. When we went on Walmart and we were looking for things, I said, can I have one little goodie that I saw on there? And I want to, let me switch the camera over and I'll show you what I got. And it especially makes me feel better since the silicone molds aren't going to be what I hoped. This is funny how that camera, are y'all seeing this kind of echo thing going on? Oh, I think it's just in the camera or the wiring. These are hard plastic texture tips. So when I'm doing my polymer clay, I can just roll these across. And so these weren't much. I don't know if they were $5, $6 or something, but I found these for my polymer clay. And you know, I really look. I spend time ordering online because each one of the ends of this are a totally different texture. So just thought I would show you those. Alrighty. So now that I've shown you that, I think it's time to show you what I've gotten done this week on our Smokey Mountains in fall, or fall Smokey Mountains quilt. Now I think last time I had finished blocking in the color. I've moved and shifted just a few things, and in fact today's placeholder picture was this actual quilt. And what I've started, I went ahead and took my monopoly, the polyester monofilament that I use to do the invisible quilting, and as you see, you don't see the stitching. And let me show you what I have to do to show you that stitching. Is the only way you can really see it is if I make the light shine. Like right now, I picked up this because the light was hitting it. But if light shines on it, that's the only time you see it. And now I'm going to show you a video I made of my sewing this down with the monofilament, because every single piece that you used fusible or glue, and I used glue. My sewing machine might sound slightly louder, but that's because all of the folded edges had glue on them, and it was tacky glue. It was not an easy glue, it was a stiff glue. So I used a size 16 top stitch needle, a classe, I guess they call it, or classe or classe needle, and it worked beautifully, and my thread did not break, not one time. I tell you what, I'm so in love with that machine that I bought used, what, 2 years ago or a year ago, almost 2 years ago. I love that machine so very much. Okay. Oh no. Laura, did you have COVID? Oh, hon, I am so sorry. Mark and I realized the other day, I was looking at my medical record. We've now had 11 COVID shots. I tell you that COVID is not something you want, is it? What's the type of invisible thread? Yes, okay. The old kinds used to be made of nylon. They were bad because they would stretch and then break. For this one, I use Superior Threads Monopoly. YLI puts out a good monopoly. I've even, with this new machine, she is so agreeable that I can even use no name invisible thread. So I got to give a lot of credit. Another thing to remember is use a nice fine bobbin thread. If you use a bobbin thread that's too thick or too strong, it is going to break. It's going to break your monopoly. So here is the thread I used. Superior Threads Monopoly, because it's polyester, extra fine polyester. And this little spool has 2,200 yards. Now, have you ever seen these little socks, they call them? If you have one, put them on this thread. It just keeps the thread from going wild, because this doesn't act like a cotton thread. It acts more wiry, even though it's so fine. And just if you have a little netting, sock netting, put it on there. Also, I find it works best if I put this on a stand on the table and then come up and run it over to my sewing machine. If you have problems when you load your normal sewing machine, if the thread acts up, try put it. Oh, I'm sorry they were delayed, honey. Yes, we got lucky. The governor said, nope, they don't have to have a prescription, and we ran in and got our shots. So, but one of the stands, and you can get them for just a few dollars. A stand that sits beside the sewing machine, and you go up and over to the machine. So here is Superior Threads Monopoly, extra fine polyester. This is probably the Cadillac of all the polyester threads, but the others usually do really well. So now I'm going to bring up this video, and so you're going to actually watch me. You're going to actually watch me stitch this on. Okay, it's supposed to be here. Let's see. Now why is this not showing up? Hold on. Okay, 1 second. No. It is not showing up. Hold on 1 second. I am determined that this will work. Okay. Well, if I can't get it to work, I know of another way I can do it, but let me try this again. All right. Oh, I figured it out now. I'm sorry, ladies. Okay, let me back it up. Let me turn it up. But I'm filming this with one hand, and I'm only using one hand to do the other movement. One thing to mention, I'm very lucky to have this machine. I bought it, it was in like new condition from a woman who bought it and just didn't like Ojuki. Found she wanted to go back to Janome. So I was able to get this and I dearly love it. Every time I stop sewing, the presser foot comes up. So that means with one hand, I can just turn the fabric around and off I go down another direction. But this is what you do when you have to sew down a bunch of fused pieces. I'm very lucky that this machine lifts up the presser foot just enough to allow me to move the piece around. It just makes it so easy. Okay, it lifts it up. Now I am filming with holding my phone with one hand. So I'm doing all of the sewing, moving of the fabric with the other hand. Now I'm going to come back up here, move on to the next. And I can slow it down and gently put a little pressure to move it backwards. Just depends on your machine and how well it works with the monofilament. And I'll show you, this is the superior threads spool I'm using, and I've got an inexpensive stand that then brings it over, goes through the machine and down. And just to show you, here is the delicate thread that I'm using for the bobbin. This bobbin won't fit in my machine, so I wind it to a bobbin when I'm ready to go. All right, now I'll go back across here. I try not to cut the thread any more than I have to. And I'll sew to this point, and I'll sew to this point, and then I'll just spin the fabric. Off I go into another direction. But it's really pretty simple. This machine makes my life so much easier. And now I will just spin it. Sometimes I'll take a couple stitches, but I'll just spin it and go back this way. Turn it. But you're just kind of, it's really pretty simple. You're just spinning the fabric around. And I want to go up this direction. Now, if you were able to see any bobbin thread coming up from the bottom, I would adjust your tension. But otherwise, it's the only way you can see the stitching is when the light shines on it. Otherwise, you might see just tracks of the little holes. Now the holes show up more. I am using a size 16 top stitch needle, which is a little easier on the thread. It doesn't rub as much because there's a taller shaft for the thread to fit through. And so it does leave more needle holes also because I've got fusible and glue that have kept the fabric in place to this point. But I try not to do too much cutting of threads and just kind of let it wander around and look for that next area that needs stitched down. But just remember that fusible only lasts a brief amount of time, and then the more that the quilt is handled, the more likely it is to lift up. But it's kind of relaxing, actually, and this is why I prefer a polyester, monopoly as they call it, because it just seems to make it doesn't break as much, it doesn't stretch as much. And if you've ever tried doing this with some of the early threads, you would say, oh, those are horrible. But give the new, I say new, they've been around for at least 10 years. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to gently turn it, go to the end of this piece here, and then I'm just going to spin it around, and you can see where. Now, you might have a machine where you can tell it every time you stop sewing. I want to see this. This is part of the same. This is part, here is the seam I'm wanting to sew. This is part of the pattern. But see if you have a button that either raises or lowers the presser foot when you stop. And what I would do is have it automatically automatically stop with the needle down. So I hope this has given you a few ideas. I've kind of gotten myself in a place where I'm probably going to cut my thread now and move to a different area. All right, good luck. Enjoy. Okay, I hope that helped you. I hope that was of some assistance. I just figured if you actually saw me do it, it might make more sense. Let me get this sun. I need to stop it from coming in there. Okay. All right. So, now that we're done with the color block stage. Now we're done with the zigzagging all the small pieces of fabric down. Now the next step is thread painting. So what I'm going to do is bring over the close-up camera and show you when I just do a little bit of that to let you see what it's like. Did you not on the back? Nah. I never do. I don't have time for all that stuff. So, you know, when you see a really good long arm quilter and they, you know, make sure to put all the knots on the back, I say good for them. And I just do it my way. But what I do, especially if I'm on the long arm, when I get ready to sew, I'll just sew a couple stitches right in place and then I go. And it does mean that sometime on the back I push the thread cutter button a lot, so I might have to neaten up the back here and there. But I don't mess. I've got too much to do. So what a mess I am. All right, let me bring this camera over. And one thing I like to do is bring the camera over before I turn it on so I don't make you nauseous. So I'm trying to be thoughtful. It's hard. All right, let me get my light there, and then let's do the close-up camera. But you know, the color blocking is the first stage, then the stitching down. Whoops, wait a minute. Come on. I might have to, let me see, what did I have to do last time to get this to work? Let me see. Mark told me what to do, and now I don't remember. Well, let me see. Maybe I went, I know, I think I know what I did. Docks. Okay, did I dock? No, that was something different. View. I don't know what UI is. Shoot. I'm trying to figure this out. I turned the camera too much, I guess. You know how sometimes this is not the most expensive system in the world. So, he did something that, let me see. Let me drop that out. Detail close up. No. Alright, so I know what I'm going to do. We'll go back. Luckily, for how many? 7 years, we did it the old-fashioned way. So, we will still do that. Alright. Now, let me see. Whoa. Alright. Whoops. No, don't do that. Okay. Here we go. It's not the best shot, but wish I could. Let me see. Oh, yay. I can get it closer. All right. I have loaded some very dark. It's a charcoal gray. It's a very dark rayon. I like doing a lot of my thread painting with some of the rayons because they're just fine. They are finer. Let me see. Okay. So what? We moved. Oops, I did it again. Okay. We moved the camera around, and now we move the whole thing. Let me see. Okay, I'll do the best I can. Okay, let me come up. All right. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to put, I think, a zigzag stitch, an unusual little zigzag stitch. I've got a foot on here that has a nice wide opening, so because you don't want to use a fine holed foot and then break your needle. Alright, so let's see. Whoops. This one, on my other machine, I don't have to drop the pressure foot. Oh, I gotta make this smaller. I don't want it to be a wide zigzag. I want it to be a narrow zigzag. Relatively narrow. Alright, whoops. The thread broke. Whoops, did it? Yeah, I guess it did. My tension seems to be a little tough. I might check that again. Okay, let me see. Oh, now it's, Nice and easy. Okay, let's see. Let's see how this does. And you know, I'm used to using this thread upstairs. It may just not be heavy duty enough for this machine, because this is my good workhorse machine. It's a Elna 7200, and I've had this for 21 years. So I started to sell it, and I was going to sell it for like $500, and then realized, you know what, it's more valuable to me than that. I'm going to go back to a straight stitch just to make sure I can do this. But okay, so now I've started doing the sewing, and I'm just gently going to do some stitching with this very dark thread on the shadow side of the tree. And this really helps. Oops, the plug came out. Okay. This really helps. Whoops, I did it again. Why did I do that? Okay. All right. But I put my hands here, and I just carefully, I can do a little bit back and front. Now, when I go back and forth like this, you gotta be careful. Don't push it too hard. And now I'm gonna take this charcoal thread out, and I'm going to come in with my next darkest color, which is very nice chocolate brown. I'm gonna load this, and okay. Now, okay. This was my first ever machine that had a thread cutter, and I just couldn't believe it. I was so thrilled. So now, here is where I have been. Here is where I have been using some of the darker threads. So now I'm going to come in here with this dark brown and do some more sewing. Now, if you notice when you're going back and forth like I'm doing, see, I very gently with my hands just move the fabric back and forth. But if you find you're breaking the thread too often, or if you break a needle, then you might need to speed up the stitching, because then when you speed up the stitching, you have less of a chance of tugging too roughly on the thread or needle. You want to be able to not put the tension on the needle too much, okay? So now let me come down this side of this root. But this is stuff that really gives the tree that feeling of shadow and of bark and of 3-dimension, that roundness to it. And I'm doing like a big, lazy, loopy stitching, because, you know, I do like that close-up camera. I had forgotten how much trouble it was to mess with this one. Okay, so, and I'll pull this out and come show it to you in just a moment, right now, I think. All right, so now let me show you what I've done. So right here is all of the stitching I've done down this side and down in the root and over here and over there, just kind of. And now let me turn the camera back up. Hold on one second. All right, Mark is out on the lawnmower, so I don't want to disturb him. Okay, so now let me hold it up to you with the light there, and you can see how I'm starting there. Do you see that? Do you see how now it has a shadow down this side, and it will start defining the root system? Then when I do a little medium in the middle and a little bit of light over here, I'm going to take, there's one area that I'm going to turn into where a branch was missing. So when I do the stitching, I'm kind of going to make a little bit of a circle there. But I think you can see the difference right there. You can see that shadow mark of that tree. And that, I might leave the middle as it is and just come over here and do the right side. And I'm going to come up through the trees everywhere. Remember, my sun is right here. Everywhere the sun hits, I will use the light thread. Everywhere that the sun can't reach, I will use the dark thread. Now, let me do one more thing. It's not, I want to give you enough for, if any of you are trying this, I want to give you some information so you can start working on this yourself. And the thread stitching, you're not, try to remember, where is this thread going? Oh no! I pulled the wrong thread. Let me wind these back up. Okay, you're not trying to cover up all the fabric you chose. Your fabric's the star. The thread that you're thread painting with is an accent. And then when you do the inktense, then that's going to be the highlights. So just try to think of them as in 3 different levels. The fabric is the bottom of that pyramid. The thread painting's in the middle of the pyramid. The inktense is at the top of the pyramid. And that just gives you a reminder. And okay, you might want to know, well, what kind of lighter threads am I going to use for the tree bark? I have 2 different kinds here. This one being a variegated thread, you've got to be careful with them because it might be a little too much of a mixture of light and dark. Here's another one that has less of a color change. I can also use, I have upstairs some very light tans. You don't want to use white, that would be too startling. But usually when I thread paint, I pick a dark, a medium, and a light of each of the thread colors where I'm going to do the highlighting. So, alright, let me put this thread back on, and I want to give you an idea of what you can do to give a little definition to things like the mountains. Because the one thing in his painting, they were made to look like stained glass, and so they had a stained glass type leading line in between the different colors. So what I'm going to do now, just give me a second here, and I'm going to try to give, let me do a fine little, oops. I want to do a tiny zigzag. I don't want to do satin stitching. That's too much work. But let me see if I can do a fine little zigzag. That's going to give a little bit of definition to the mountain lines. Alright. Okay, let me try this. mark might be done. Yay. Then you can come in and help me fix the camera. Alright, so let me do another one up here because I did it first on the very dark part. And I want to make sure that you can actually see it. Okay. Alright, let me try right here. Oh, thread came out. This machine says, I normally don't. Oh, I see why. The thread, I didn't have the spool cap on the thread, and it did a little backlash and wound itself around the spool. And so that's why always make sure you put your spool cap on. But I want to see if you can tell right here I did some whoops. Let me see if I can get Mark's attention so he can. Let me see. Because I'd love to be able to show you in this the close-up. All right, now. Okay. We'll see if he gets the message. If not, I'm just going to have to do it old school. Okay. All right. Now, so what let me just check that detail close up and see if it's working better now. Nope, it's still stuck. Okay. All right, main camera. Okay. I'll show you one more time the detailing on the tree where it's really starting to show the shadow line. Then look over here at the mountains where you see the stitching. My detail camera is not doing, and I forgot what you were trying to tell me about it. I moved it too much, I think. Hold on, guys. Mark's here. That's all I had to do?
I don't know yet.
No, I think it's still frozen. But I want to see if you can tell the difference.
Okay, now it's working.
Yay. Okay. Thank you.
You're back
I'm giving you.
I'll put you back on the main camera.
Okay.
Oh, hang on a second. Let me get rid of something.
Oh, you were right there. I was trying to give you cover so they wouldn't see your sweatiness. You don't care, do you?
My yard work in this.
Yes. Okay, so now let me go to detail close-up. Please work. Yay. Okay, so here we are. Here is where I started shading for the tree. Okay. I'm going to have to tell him about this little strange shadowing. Maybe let me turn off this light and see if that helps. Nope, still there. And then, now, here we go. See if you can see this. Aw, y'all are so sweet. I'll tell him thanks. But do you see this right here? So I think that if I start doing more of that, because I know I can always come in with, I'm looking for one of my permanent markers. I know I can always come in and I can do this. And I probably will do a good bit of this, where I just take the microns are the best. They don't bleed all up in here. But look, now I can do this, although it's not showing up too much on the camera. But it's just good to kind of come in and accent all the differences, some of these edges, very carefully. So I can always do that, but if I can come in here with thread and do some decorative stitching, like up here where it had these dark areas, I could come in with the micron and do this. Like that, and accent it. So you can just decide, oh, I hope so, Miss Jo. All right, so now do you see where I'm headed next? This is, in a lot of ways, this is going to take probably about as much time as the color blocking did, because it's a matter of changing threads, changing thread colors. But I already like that you can see a little definition, because otherwise this just looks like blue pudding, and I'd rather it not look like blue pudding. Hi, our Meltem's 36. She's a beautiful 36. So, anyway, so now you see where I'm going. So the thread, and I'm going to definitely do, using some of the colors, come in here and do some accenting, making this look a little more textured, that it truly is leaves. I'm going to definitely do some in here, and especially this poor tree that looks just a little blah. So I'm going to come in and do some thread sketching, thread painting in all of these areas. All of these. And then when I'm all done this week, I will thread paint this whole thing. Then the next stage, the final stage, well, pretty much the final stage, I will take my Inktense and I will go over and I will do some adjustments of the color where it's too light here. I'm going to take Inktense and I'm going to put some texture in darker colors, and I'm going to put some, especially with thread painting, but also coming in with Inktense and giving this a lot more texture. So then after that, it's cut it even, well, quilt it first. Quilt it, and I'll just do some light overall quilting, because the colors and the painting is what it's all about. But to be a quilt, you have to have 3 layers, top, bottom, and some kind of batting. So I will get this quilted, then I will trim it even, like I'm going to have to lose some of this right here to trim it even, and then I will put a inner border, because I like my art quilts to look like a piece of art. So I'll find a nice neutral shade to act like mat board, and then I will put a picture frame on it. So, and I'm just, we don't know how it's fully going to compare to the original artwork until all these stages are done. So hopefully you understand that, and then we will make sure that we send oh, it's Meltem's birthday too? Oh, September 21st. Happy birthday. Oh, let me tell you too. Hold on. I've got something very important to tell you. Our Hopi had a birthday the other day, and she's a young one too. So, happy birthday, our Hopi. I almost forgot. Don't forget, but happy birthday, Hopi, and happy birthday, Melton, that Winder Winder Aspire is on Etsy, is our artist who was so kind to let us use his original artwork and see what we could do with it. If any of you make this, please share your photo of your quilt with him. I will be doing this one just as soon as I get it done. And it's awfully nice when an artist is that generous. So I wanted to make sure to thank him. And feel free to look on his site and find. I told Mark I might ask for one of his tiles of this same thing for Christmas so I can have this and then the tile right below it. So it's a lot of fun, and I thank him for giving us, and all he asks is that we share his Etsy site and that we share a picture of our final outcome, because he said it'll be fun seeing how it translates to fabric. And I don't think there's any way I can make it as beautiful as his original artwork, but I'm going to have fun trying. All right, let's go to show and tell, and hopefully you won't mind since my folder is already open. Let's go start there. So here we go. All right, so I think I told y'all last week that we had gone to see Hamilton at the movie theater. Oh my gosh, the young man, all these people are so young, the young man who played George III was a riot. Oh my gosh. So this is one of the photos. That was me working on that door. Then this is a picture from my daughter Katie, the one who lives up in Maryland on the Eastern Shore. And this is her sunflower, what did she call it? Black-eyed Susan vine. And then look, she's got some wonderful eucalyptus. She said, "Mom, do you want any?" I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. Doesn't it remind you of eucalyptus? That smell reminds me of Vicks Vapor Rub, doesn't it? Looks like, oh, she's got bergamot down here, which is Monarda, bee balm. Oh, look at that. So, yeah, she's a great little gardener. I shouldn't say little. She's an amazing gardener. This was a video where the boys were learning how to saw wood. And I thought that was so cute. So, you know, it's so exciting for them to be able to learn things like that. This is Russell. He's starting to look so much older now. There's Donnie. They're losing the toddler totally and becoming little boys, but they are adorable. Okay. Then, oh, no, we already saw that. I guess that's it for me. Okay, now let's go back to show and tell. I know we have a new Alberta because, uh-oh, wait a minute. This is it. Okay, I was worried, but yes, look what Alberta has done now. Blue and yellow, oh, look at the lemons. I was in such a hurry when I downloaded it. I didn't take time to look at all the detail. But I love that. Oh, I just love that. Good job, Miss Alberta. Good job, hon. All right. So now, let's see who's next. I have a feeling I know. And I think it's going to be Bonnie. Miss Bonnie has been a busy lady. Here is her quilt that she finished completely. I love that. Her color choices are just wonderful. Very classy. Okay. Then we'll go back. Look at her. This is the picture that I said, hold on to this picture, Bonnie. That is a beautiful. Look at her face. It's beautiful. So that is probably the best picture I've ever seen of our Miss Bonnie. But look what she made. She made a Viking hood because she does the SCA, so they do reenactments. And I think that's grand that she made that herself. Okay, and then look at this wonderful, this is like an overdress for her SCA, and I just love how she made it all work. And she can tie that over the underdress, and I think that's pretty cool. Isn't that neat? So I love it because, you know, oh, and here she's sitting sideways with that Viking hood. Love it. Love it. She's looking pretty skinny too there. Way to go. And then here is her dragon, and he needed to get into the scene, so she made him a little Viking hood. Isn't that the cutest? I love it. Love, love, love it. So I hope she has missed, I'm hoping Bonnie has a great fall of SCA. To me, that's the season to do the reenacting. It's just so much fun. You've been stuck in the house all summer, and then you go out and you can start a campfire, and that smell of the campfire, I love it. I used to love working at the museum during the fall. We had our fall festivals, and we would all dress up. Oh, I'm seeing another angle of Debbie, her sewing room. Nice. Look at this. Isn't that great? Looks like she's got that whole upstairs loft area. Fantastic. Love it. And I love this New York Beauty quilt. Isn't that pretty? And here she goes, our Debbie. It's so neat that she does this. Our Debbie takes and does a seasonal display in her stairwell. What? It's like a little gallery. I just love this. And I probably never would have thought of that. And it's the perfect area to have your own art gallery. And I love her glass up in the window. This is just such a happy thing that she does. And look at the 3 fall quilts and one hanging on the wall. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. That is so cute. I just love pumpkins. I just love everything to do with fall. Okay, so now let's see who is next. And that's going to be Hopi. And Miss Hopi is, everybody just help encourage Miss Hopi to take deep breaths. She's getting ready for a big art sale, and she has been so busy. And I know what that feels like. Boy, do I know. And so I love, she will soon be posting new things as soon as she gets all of her items ready for sale. And I love it that she's got people that come back year after year for her totes. She puts such a touch of class in each of them. The other day, I happened to chat with her, and she was putting the Hope labels on them. So that's awesome. So I hope she has a great sale and sells a whole mess of them. I love Miss Jo's attic window quilt here. Isn't that lovely? Oh, I love that. Then this is the favorite tumbling block I've ever seen because it's so graphic and so three-dimensional. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Okay, Now let's see who is next. Okay, let's see. Miss Linda Williams. And I know she's probably got some more to take pictures of. But look at this. Isn't that beautiful? I love her collage landscape. And then her... I always forget to check. Oh, your granddaughter put the pumpkin quilt on her bed to share with her cat. Oh, that is so nice. Her cat is Lucky and dog is Cypress. Oh, I love that. That is great. Thanks for filling in the details. I've had people say, you know so much about things. And it's like, not nearly as much as I wish I knew. But this quilt is just beautiful. Has the wedding pictures on it. And I love it. Look at that. So, in fact, this made me think about it because coming up in a week and a couple of days is going to be the Mancuso virtual schoolhouse. And you know, every time I try to take a class, but I just couldn't quite find something that I was anxious to learn from. I think they're going to have another one in January, and I'm going to make sure to take something from that if at all possible. But do check Mancuso. It's going to start, the classes start on the 15th, I believe. And I love Miss Mary's mosaic quilt. I love it. Mary's Mosaic Magpies. That's a lot. And her Summertime Snail Trail Alfresco. And then here's her version of the Splash quilt. Love it, love it. Okay. And let's see, who else do I have? Meltum. And these are 3 photos from her vacation she took with her brothers. And remember this man? He's, I think, kind of like a saint there and lived his whole life devoted to his faith in rather monk-like fashion. But I think a lot of people feel peace and tranquility being near his tomb. And then the water where the ground was struck and water just popped forth. And think about it, in Turkey it's kind of an arid region, so that would be a big belief. The Asa Suyu. And isn't it? I love, look at the carvings. I mean, this is antiquity at its finest. Okay, now let's see who else. My daughter's wonderful. I love this shirt that my daughter got. And that is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So, everybody, let me come back to see you. I was sitting here thinking, I'm feeling rather tired. Well, of course I am. I was up most of the night. But I need to talk to you about something. So what are we going to do next? Where do we go from here? When we finish this amazing, thank you, Mr. Reid from Tennessee, for letting us use your beautiful artwork. But what are we going to do? Well, we'll do something for the season. We'll do a little something here or there. But I really thought about something. And let me tell you what it was that I thought about. I'm working hard to get the projects I start done. But I have talked to y'all about this Jenny Beyer quilt for quite a while, because back when I learned how to quilt, everything was pastels and sunbonnet suits, which are fine, but that's just not for me. And I kind of said, well, you know, I don't know. I just don't think it's something I want to do. So somehow I ended up, this is before I had discovered Jenny Beyer. And you know, I mean, to me, she's the bee's knees. I happened to see this quilt. And oh, yeah, that sounds wonderful, Marcia. So, this is, yep, it is Moonglow. This is the Moonglow quilt. And I refer to Jenny Beyer as the quilter of light because there's just something about the way she understands color that is just, it comes alive. So, about 30 years ago, for Christmas, because this is why I got back into quilting. This is why. About 30 years ago, I said, I put on my Santa list that I wanted the Moonglow quilt kit. And I'm going to let you see. And the neatest thing about this is this was an early version of the kit. She's made other, you know, over the years she had made other versions because her fabrics and her palette fabrics changed. But look at this price on this kit. And that was about almost 30 years ago. $220. Now, if Jenny Beyer is my favorite of all time quilter, if this quilt kit is my favorite of all quilts, why haven't I made it in almost 30 years? I think it is. I haven't even opened the pack to... Now, I don't think it is paper piece. Let me see. Hold on. It says, a block of the month course created for beginners to gain confidence in color use and piecing. Now, Jenny Beyer did all her quilts by hand. So that's why I'm thinking it's not paper piece. But I don't remember what year the Moonglow quilt actually came out. I was looking for a year that this was printed, but I don't see it. Now, I think what this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 blocks are in this quilt. The finished size is going to be 86 by 86. So this is going to be a beauty. But I wanted to just check with y'all. I want to challenge all of you. Alright, so let me pull this out. Oh my goodness, there is a booklet for each block. No wonder, this is amazing. There is a booklet for each block of the quilt in the series. Nope, this is a template quilt. Now, so, look at this. Oh, this year, wait a minute, this says 2000 RJR fashion fabric. So 2000, so this is a 25-year-old quilt. 25-year-old kit. Okay. So I think after 25 years, it's time for me to finally make the quilt of my dreams. And I want to take you on that journey with me. And I will video the cutting out of it and the sewing of it. but I want this to be my focus. And I hope you will agree. And then what I challenge you to do, is there a quilt on your bucket list? Is there a quilt that you love more than anything that you say, one day I'm going to make that? And what I'm going to challenge you to do is before next week, think of one quilt that you've either wanted to get finished so badly or wanted to make that was really going to be the ultimate quilt for you. Doesn't even have to be a quilt. It could be any piece of art that you have wanting, something creative that you've been wanting to do. Because why do we not indulge ourselves in these things that mean so much? This quilt is part of my identity. And oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. And I got this quilt when I lived in Maryland. And oh, look at these fabrics. This shows you what fabrics are in this quilt kit. Look at that. And I'm going to be meticulous with this. I want it as perfect or as close to perfect as I can make it. And I said, Mark, if I go ahead and make it, I'll have time to enjoy it. And the worst thing would be to pass this world and never have made it. So I'm no longer going to sit and wait till I'm good enough to make that. Are you kidding me? So, and you know what? I might just hand quilt that puppy. We'll see. But anyway, so be thinking. Look around. You just took your favorite UFO. Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Don't deny yourself anymore. We put everybody ahead of ourselves. We're only getting older. We're not getting younger. Think of a project or a quilt you've wanted to do. Double wedding ring, storm at sea, whatever it is. Moon glow. I love this. So, get that project out. If you haven't bought stuff for it, see if you can afford to buy the stuff for it. But get making solid plans to start that special quilt. And when we start the year 2026, people, we're going to have a good start on your all-time favorite quilt or quilt project. Okay? Is that a deal? Is that a deal? So, Bonnie has something in mind. Oh, yes. Good idea, Bonnie. Whatever it takes. Put notes around the house for yourself. Yours just needs quilting. That's wonderful. Put notes around saying, have you worked on that today? Even if we just take 5. Oh, the finer thread. What you want to use is a lightweight bobbin thread. So would that be like a 60 weight? You just want to use something a little delicate, but I would recommend polyester. Something that's going to, what you don't want to use is, you don't want to use a good old Coats and Clark's, that's a little heavy. And remember that the clear thread is very fine. You should try to kind of match that with your bobbin. If you don't, the bobbin's going to win. And the thing you don't want is to have the bobbin thread coming up from the bottom or pulling the monofilament down to the back. So just look for, I'm trying to think, I've got some spools of this white thread, and gray is good if you don't have, in fact, you know what? This is pretty good. I got these for free. It's called So Complete, and it is from Superior Threads, and it's an 80 weight. And remember, the bigger the number, the finer the thread. And so this is an 80 weight. And so it's nice and delicate. I love doing hand sewing with this because it's just nice. So any thread that's, I would say, 60 and higher is fine enough to handle using the with the invisible thread. Just trying to kind of keep them of the same weight so one's not, you don't want an unfair tug of war. So that's for you to remember. And plus, if some of that bobbin thread tries to sneak up from behind and it's this big thicker thread, then guess what? You're going to see it, and you don't. That would ruin the look. So they are making some nice bobbin weight threads that are more delicate and more fine, and that'll be wonderful. Yeah. Oh, that sounds good, Cheryl. Thank you. I love, y'all are so smart. Yeah, Georgia Bone Steel says, make your masterpiece quilt. What are we waiting for? We're not getting any younger. If I'd made this 25 years ago, I'd have had 25 years to enjoy it. But I'm going to start right this week. Right this week with that quilt kit. So, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to rush. I'm going to take my time and enjoy every moment. Just be right there. Put on a really good binge watching show or a really good brand new audio book, and I'm going to make that time for me. Before we know it, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that, which makes me crazy. And so let's do something just for us. And we're going to start out by find your project that you've been dreaming about for a long time and give yourself that gift of actually making it. And I think that'll be a great idea. I was talking to Mark today and I said, why haven't I done it? And then it was like, bing, the idea came to me. Instead of making one more holiday decoration tchotchke, make something that my heart and soul will thrive with. Okay? So that's about it. I think we're done today. And thank you so much for joining me. And hang in there. We're all going to hang in here together. And you know what? We might just have to do a Jitsi coming up sometime. So maybe a Saturday Jitsi. Oh, I started to turn the light off on the little Yatai stand and then realized, oh, I had it set up to be the final, the goodbye shot. So, but thank you so much, Linda. So nice. I will be chatting with you sometime soon. Oh, thank you, everyone. You're wonderful and very special to me and to all of us. And we will see you next week when you share. Do you have your special bucket list quilt ready to work on? All right. Take care. Jitsi would be great, wouldn't it? Maybe next Saturday. Let's see what we can do. All right. I'll check on our group's IO and we'll figure that out. Okay. Well, on our way out, oh, come on, remote. I was doing so good until my remote says, I don't know. Okay. So here we go. Have a great week, my loves. all of a sudden I'm wanting Chinese food. What's that about? All right, guys. Take good care.